Finally tonight, a quick word on the census. You may remember that we covered it on the show last year when we learned that Donald Trump thought it was when you count how many toilets are in people's houses, which, you know, it isn't. The census is how the government determines things like the number of seats each state has in the House and the distribution of federal funds. And given everything that we just talked about earlier in the show concerning underrepresentation, it could not be more important for people to fill it in. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, it's become a bit of a clusterfuck, with the latest news coming just this week.
All right, breaking overnight, a federal court ordering the Trump administration to drop plans to rush the census to a conclusion and extending counting in the census for an additional month. Now, the census results determine future congressional districting and how federal funding is divvied up across the country. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross had ordered the Census Bureau to finish counting by September 30th, 1 month earlier than originally planned. The ruling is expected to be appealed.
Yeah. The deadline for the census was initially July 31st, then it was pushed back to October 31st, then pointlessly moved forward to September 30th, which is in just 3 days. And now the courts will decide whether that's actually the deadline or not. But regardless of when the deadline is, it is soon. And currently, estimates are that around 14 million households haven't participated. Basically, the census is something everyone should do, but some of us aren't, putting it in the same category as flossing, except instead of getting gingivitis, you're getting underrepresented in Congress. And if you are one of those people who hasn't filled it out yet, I cannot overstate how important it is that you do so. And it's so easy. Just go to this website, or if you love phone calls for some reason, dial this number. The Census Bureau says that you'll be done in less than 10 minutes, but honestly, and not to brag, I found it took me less than 2. So why not do it right now? Because you definitely have 2 minutes on your hands. And the reason I know that for sure is we are currently 28 minutes into a 30-minute show, and I'm about to drive you away to go fill it in. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know about that, I'm pretty comfortable right now. Not for long, you're not. Because for the rest of this show, I'm going to leave you watching this screensaver of a DVD logo bouncing around like a substitute teacher who fell asleep after Glory ended. And not only that, underneath it, we're going to be playing the audiobook version of Sean Penn's Bob Honey Who Just Do Stuff, read by its author, a man with a face that's seen better days and a voice that's seen better centuries. The book has no formal plot, a president character referred to only as Mr. Landlord, and it contains lines like, effervescence lived in her every cellular expression, and she had spitzerinctum to spare. It is dreadful. So please, save yourself and go to my2020census.gov right now. And if you've already filled out your census, why not use the time to register to vote? You can find information on how to do that right here. And if you've already done both of those things, run from this screen like the wind. Thank you so much for watching. That is our show. We'll see you next week. Take it away, Bob.
The America Bob drove from Woodview to New Orleans was not that one of lore. Not the one he'd known in his earliest cross-continental automotive excursions. Not the one of pay-later gas stations, vintage diners, and two-lane roads. Only the trains remained a spirit refuge to modernity's craven trumpery. There were few remaining romantic vistas experienced in solitude, but rather interstates, strip malls, retail emporiums, traffic, roadwork, and bottlenecks. America, it seemed to Bob, was no longer that beautiful girl who'd birthed him, but instead the ghost of a girl he'd never known. Driving at night through the intermittent expanses could Bob sometimes see the distant amber lights of isolated compounds, perhaps prisons, perhaps casinos. In either case, somebody was in there losing. It seemed many of the towns were built either on the back of Votex or on the job security offered by various states' corrections departments. At one diner stop in San Antonio, Bob sat at a counter where he was drawn into conversation by a grinning septuagenarian traveler from Appalachia. Bob impulsively asked, "What's with all the incest in your area?" He watched the old man's grin go grim. Then the old man looked to Bob with defiance. He stepped up and answered Bob's question quietly. "Just folks getting by." And so it was.